Have you ever wondered if there was a super simple way to figure out how AI could help you in your business? I mean, there's so many different things happening. There's so much innovation happening. It feels like every day there's something brand new. But realistically, when you get down to it, your business probably has some really specific things that it needs help with, and you're wondering, AI could be the way. Well, this video, I'm going to run through with you 16 different ways that AI can actually help you in your business. So the document I'm going to be referring to is from a really well-known body, which is called the National Institute of Standards. And if you've been in the professional world for any length of time, you've probably come across some of their work. One of the things I love about them is they're very technology agnostic. So they're not going to be like, oh, you should definitely go for this AI, you should definitely go for that AI. Instead, they like to take a step back and have a look at the overall picture and put it together in a way that could actually be useful for you. So in this video, what I'm actually going to go through is 16 different ways that they think AI can be useful for humans. And I believe that in that, you'll find some really great applications for your business. If you want to hear more about it, feel free to contact me in our contact form. Love to hear from you. But anyway, let's get into it. So the first thing that they believe that AI can help you with is with content creation. Now, I'm not just talking about creating YouTube videos, although that is part of it, but they classify content creation as any time that AI is generating content for you. So that could be like a video or a narrative or a storyline or software code or synthetic data. Basically, they want to say that any time that an AI is creating something on your behalf, that's one of the ways that it can help you. And I can certainly say it's a very popular one for a lot of people. The next thing then that AI can be really helpful with that they talk about is content synthesis, which might sound like it's saying the same thing, but it's actually not. Content synthesis is about the combining together of different pieces of information in order to get a whole. So the example that they give is something like a doctor's unstructured notes. Looking at all of them, putting them all together. So if you visit your doctor 15 times in the last 5 years, maybe there's some sort of narrative to be had about that, and that's content synthesis. The next one then can be a little bit controversial, particularly given the name. They call it decision making, and I've got to be honest, my first thought was Skynet, and I'm like, nope, nobody wants Skynet. But their point there is that sometimes there's areas where AI can actually help with making decisions, particularly if it's routine ones that you would normally have to make yourself. The next one's actually quite closely related, particularly in cybersecurity, and that is detection. What they're talking about there is any time that you use an AI system to go and do some really complex detection that would typically require a human being to do it. Things that might come to mind for you there is in any sort of financial analysis or cybersecurity detection. You can actually use those models to detect things really, really well. The next one then is digital assistance. I'm going to read the definition out for you here. Acting as a personal agent for understanding and responding to commands and questions. So that might be something like a chatbot. For instance, one of the products that my company developed is the ability for content creators to take all of their content, put it into an AI, and when people talk to it, it's like they're talking to the creator. The next one then is discovery. And discovery is kind of like detection, but discovery is about uncovering new things. So that might be something that when you shove a bunch of information into your AI model, it discovers something that you never knew about. Another one that they classify, which is super well used in the world, and you probably heard about it before, which is image analysis. I'm not going to lie, in my mind, when I hear that, I think of those like crazy things in movies where they have like a super pixelated photo of a number plate and then they put it into this magical AI and suddenly they've got a crystal clear thing with all the letters and numbers. I mean, that's kind of what they're talking about, but maybe without the, super crazy, unrealistic, magical AI doing things. The point is that image analysis is about recognizing attributes within digital images to get the information that you want. Another one that is really, really well known, and particularly with the rise of Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini, it's becoming more and more popular, is information searching. So that's kind of like where you might go to your ChatGPT or your Claude and you say, hey, can you please tell me a recipe on how to do this cool thing? And it just comes up with the answer for you. So that's information search, knowledge searching. The next one they talk about, which again is kind of controversial and, I don't really know how you feel about it, is what it is monitoring. So monitoring is about using an AI to monitor a certain situation. Now, a super benign way of looking at this would be, when people are monitoring wildlife out in different sanctuaries in order to, track an endangered species. There's a really great use of AI. You start to learn a creature's behaviors and habits and, start to use it to be more efficient when you're monitoring. Of course, you can also go down the super negative path, which I don't really want to talk about too much, but just acknowledge that it's there, which is where we really start to monitor people's online activity. That's a tough one, that one. Another area of AI, which I think is an emerging area that's really going to bear a lot of fruit in the next few years, is performance improvement. So that's about using an AI to monitor the performance of something over time and effectively start to make it better. Now, I'm sure that if you were to think about that a little bit more, you'd really start to think about things like the automated decision making that goes into that and detecting it. And so you can sort of see how these different categories can start to blur into one another. Next one there is personalization. So personalization is about, personalizing something to work for you. Start to train them on who you are and what you like. That can lead to way better solutions and suggestions to you. And it's something that you can really use in your business to personalize different aspects of your service for people where it makes sense. Closely related to that is prediction. So that is looking at forecasting the likelihood of something that happens in the future. A simplistic example that I like to give some of my clients is things like, if you know that June is always going to be like the busiest month and it has been for the last 10 years, you've got a really, really good chance of predicting that in the 11th year, the same thing's probably going to happen. Where AI gets really interesting is that sometimes it can dive into the reasons behind that and give you a far more accurate number. So instead of saying June is going to be way more busy, it might say something like June is going to be 52% busier than usual, which allows you to be way, way, way more efficient with how you allocate resources. Next one there is process automation. The fancy name that AI people like to use is agentic AI, but realistically, we're just talking about an AI that can do cool AI things on your behalf and you don't have to do them. So you have a process, the AI does it for you. The end. A recommendation system is kind of similar to what we are talking about before with personalization, but it takes it to the next level. We actually see this all the time on things like YouTube and Netflix, where they recommend the next video and they have a pretty good idea about whether you're actually going to be interested in it or not. Where this can get really interesting for your business is starting to understand how you can recommend specific products that will appeal to your customers. And if you can recommend them and you feel confident in that, you can actually use them to start being very clear about what you want your business to build. Another one that kind of has Skynet vibes, and not sure how you feel about it, is robotic automation. So we see things like Tesla's Optimus and those kind of things. Those are like robotic systems that are getting built while we talk, which is pretty cool, but also pretty scary. It'll be interesting to see how they manage the risk behind that. The final one that they've got is the vehicle automation, and I feel like that's one of the ones that's been in the news for a very, very long time. We've all heard about the Tesla self-drive mode, and BYD has something similar. Like, a lot of car companies are starting to really use these really intelligent AI systems. Anyway, that's a quick little knowledge drop in terms of different ways to classify the AI. Hopefully you can find some stuff in there that you think will be useful for your business. Stay tuned to this channel as I continue to explore this amazing world of AI that's opening up for us. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my videos. So that will really help me. And the bigger this channel gets, the more content I'll be able to create for you. That's my promise.